Welcome to the Wealth Vanguard. Meet John Paul Doria, once homeless and begging for money, now a multi-billionaire owner of multiple mega mansions, billion-dollar businesses, and rare supercars. His remarkable journey from destitution to opulence showcases the transformative power of resilience, determination, and entrepreneurial acumen. Doria's ascent serves as a testament to the boundless possibilities that await those who dare to dream big and persistently pursue their ambitions against all odds. John Paul's early life was fraught with adversity in East Los Angeles, marked by poverty, danger, and abandonment. Unlike some, he didn't have the privilege of starting with a small loan from a millionaire. Despite his impoverished upbringing, John Paul was driven by an unwavering determination to achieve wealth. From a young age, he exhibited entrepreneurial spirit, crafting flower boxes in a local wood shop and selling them for a profit to diner waitresses. Yet even his earnest efforts weren't enough to alleviate his family's financial struggles. Forced into foster care at the tender age of 7 due to his mother's inability to provide, John Paul refused to succumb to despair. Instead, he took on odd jobs like selling newspapers and Christmas cards at dawn, demonstrating resilience and a relentless work ethic. Despite their dire circumstances, John's mother instilled in him the value of giving back. With just a dime to spare one Christmas, she taught him the importance of generosity by donating to the Salvation Army, emphasizing that even in times of scarcity, there's always someone in greater need. This early lesson in empathy and altruism left an indelible mark on John Paul, shaping his character and instilling in him a commitment to philanthropy. Despite his journey from hardship to prosperity, he never forgot his roots and the importance of extending a helping hand to those less fortunate. Through his experiences, John Paul learned that true wealth lies not only in financial success, but also in the ability to make a meaningful difference in the lives of others. Now, that's sweet and all, but as a poor kid in LA, he had to do something more than just sell newspapers and flower boxes. He thought his only option was to join a street gang, and honestly, their name is probably the weirdest you've ever heard, the Pink Rats. Yeah, it doesn't sound too intimidating, but don't let the name fool you. They carried knives and went around beating people up in the neighborhood. John claims they never stabbed anyone though, and just used the knives to steal people's money. Of course, he would say that now, but you've got to do what you've got to do. It's clear the gang life didn't help him in the long run because John was one bad move away from getting kicked out of school, or worse, going to prison. He needed something that would push him in the right direction, and his teacher did just that one day during his math class. John Paul was messing around with the girl next to him, but his teacher wasn't having it. The teacher told him, "You'll never succeed at anything in life." That comment really stuck with him, and he vowed to prove the teacher wrong. John realized that school wasn't for him, and he needed to take a different path. Luckily, right before graduation, a Navy recruiter came by his high school, and John Paul decided this was his chance. The connection he found in his gang, he felt he could find in the Navy. More importantly, he would be making a stable, legal income. However, after just 2 years in the Navy, he left with honor to pursue something else. He was just beginning to find his passion, something he was naturally good at, sales. But just as he found his calling, his life began to fall apart. He had quickly gotten married and had a son when he was only 19. They were living together in a tiny hut, and like most early marriages, things were not working out. One day, he got home from work, and his wife asked him for his car keys. She said she was going to the store, but in reality, she was leaving him for good. She left him a note saying she couldn't take it anymore. His son was left on the ground next to a mound of his clothes. This wasn't spontaneous either, it was all planned. For the last 3 months, his wife had been pocketing the rent and utilities money, and they were set to be evicted the next day. To make matters even worse, his boss called him up and fired him. All John could do was sit on the floor and cry. He had just lost his job, his shelter, and his wife, and had no idea what to do, but he still had discipline, and he told himself he had to make it out of this. Thankfully, his neighbor overheard what happened and offered to give John his Cadillac to live in. But at the end of the day, John was still homeless with a kid. To make ends meet, he picked up soda cans and sold them for 2 cents apiece. Finally, after 2 weeks, one of John's friends offered him and his son a spare room. He did everything he could to scrape up some money. He worked as a janitor, gas station attendant, and bicycle repairman, Most notably, he jump-started his sales career by selling something unusual: encyclopedias. He went door to door and was paid only on commission. John only got his first sale after knocking on over 100 doors. The average salesperson lasted 3 days selling those books, but JP pushed through the rejections and continued for 3.5 years. He was definitely a hustler. He went from selling books to selling copy machines, insurance, and dictating equipment. This dude wanted to be an elite salesman, and he was willing to go through anything to get there. This determination helped him get involved in the industry that would make him a billionaire. Fast forward a few years, and he landed a job at Time magazine, selling editions like Sports Illustrated, Fortune, and Life magazine. But he was hungry to do more and wanted to become a top executive. So one day he went up to his boss and asked him, "How can I become vice president of the company?" Of course, his boss just laughed in his face. But he said if John stayed with the company for 9 more years, they might consider him. John Paul thought that was some nonsense. He knew he deserved better. So he told everyone he knew about his goal, and his friend pointed him towards a more promising offer: a salesman job at a company called Redken, known for manufacturing beauty products. John Paul flew through the ranks all the way to national manager. When he got to that level, he witnessed firsthand the unethical tests they performed on animals. He couldn't just stand there and let that happen, so he voiced his opinion and complained to the executives. Instead of hearing him out, they fired him. Thankfully, he quickly bounced back and got a new management job with Fermodal, and there he helped increase profits by 50%. But once again, he was fired because he didn't fit in. He had some more success with other companies and learned his way around business and marketing, eventually becoming so good that he was one of the best in the hair industry. Even through all the job hopping, things were looking up for John, but not for long. During a hairdressing convention, John met a man named Paul Mitchell. He immediately saw potential. John Paul was great at the business and marketing side of things, and Paul Mitchell was one of the best hairdressers and formulators in the industry. John Paul DeJoria and Paul Mitchell decided to partner up with the goal of building the best hair company of all time, John Paul Mitchell Systems. They worked tirelessly on their idea and eventually pitched it to a European investor. They were accepted for a loan of $500,000. Confident in the incoming funds, John Paul gave his house and the rest of his savings to his wife, who was about to divorce him. However, when it was time to collect the loan from the bank, it was gone. John Paul was left with no money, no house, and only his car. Despite this setback, he remained determined. To start the company with minimal upfront costs, he borrowed $350 from his mom, and Paul Mitchell matched it, giving them a total of $700. They used samples from manufacturers to get their products, promising to buy more later. They spent their remaining money on a logo design. Without an advertising budget, they gave out free samples to hair salons. If the hairdressers liked the product, they would sell it to their customers and receive a commission. John Paul also went door to door with a unique sales pitch, offering a money-back guarantee if customers weren't satisfied after 30 days. Their efforts paid off, and distributors began working with them full-time. The company became successful, innovating in various ways, such as not using animals for product testing and discovering beneficial ingredients like awapui. By 1985, John Paul Mitchell Systems was making over $100 million in sales. After Paul Mitchell's passing in 1989, John Paul DeJoria assumed leadership, guiding the company to unprecedented success. He'd established Paul Mitchell Schools, promoted green energy, and reached $1 billion in sales. DeJoria's philanthropy extended to combating homelessness, founding an entrepreneur center, and signing the Giving Pledge. Beyond hair care, he ventured into Patron Tequila, selling it for $5.1 billion. With his wealth, he indulged in luxury but remained committed to giving back. DeJoria's journey from homelessness to billionaire exemplifies his resilience and generosity, proving that true success lies in sharing one's blessings. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe to Wealth Vanguard. Stay tuned for more fascinating insights into the world of wealth and luxury.